Hello, it's Jen Bengal here from Out of This World Literacy. In episode 76, I talked about the reasons why vocabulary notebooks are just so awesome. If you missed that episode, go back and check it out. Today, I'm going to go into some detail as to what I have in each of the three parts of a vocabulary notebook. These three sections are super cool because they build on one another throughout a week of instruction. They go beyond simply getting a list of words and memorizing one definition for each word. You'll see what I mean when I get into them. Let's dive into the three sections. The first section of the notebook that I use for my students, I call My Words. I reserve about 35 pages for this section of the notebook. Now, if you think that's a lot, what I mean by 35 pages is I use the front and back of a page. So the first part of the page, or the front of the page, is one page, the back of the page is the second page. So 35 pages for the first section, which I call My Words. And this is really where the learning lasts all year, not just for 1 week. So when the students are finished with practicing those vocabulary words on Friday and they get a new list on Monday, they don't disappear forever. They stay in their vocabulary notebook for a reference all year long. This is kind of like where they have their personal word wall. You can have them put the words and the definitions, or the main definition for each word, in this section of their notebook. And they would do this on Mondays of each week, where they have their words, just getting them collected into their notebook. This is a very basic foundation of the vocabulary. Then in the second section of the notebook is where I take things to the next level. I call this section Connections. And again, using the front and the back of each page, I reserve about 65 pages for this section of the notebook. This is where the students go beyond just the words and the definitions to memorize, but they also develop a stronger understanding of the words. They're going to be doing some work on each week in this section of their notebook about associating the words. So putting the words into a scenario, into a context of something. If I have the word bombarded, I'm not just defining it, but I'm thinking about how would I use that word in what context. You can also have the kids do some different work here. So if you feel like your kids already know all the vocabulary words, you can challenge them to think even deeper here. You can have them do things like make a web, where they put the word in a web and the center of a web, and they have to write multiple meanings of the word outside of that web. So for example, the word exception, it might mean that one thing. They'll put that in a bubble. Then they'll put another bubble that says not like the rest, or breaking a rule, or not like normal. These all have slightly different meanings, so you can challenge the kids to do webs like this. You can also have them do a Venn diagram in this section of the notebook, where they have to compare two of their vocabulary words. How are they the same and how are they different? You can also have them do something where they make connections, where they put the word in a box, define it, and then draw an arrow to another box that uses the word in the context of something. So those are some different ways you can differentiate with the words and play around with them to help them make connections. So section 2 is called Connections. About 65 pages you'll need there. The last section I call In My Life. This is the last 40 pages of the notebook. This is where the kids are actually going to bring the words to a personal level by thinking about how they can use these words in their own life. You can have them make a 3-column chart in this section where they put the word and then how they would use the word in context of a conversation. So maybe title it What I Might Say, and then how they would use the word in their writing, what I might write about with this word.